Hey, everybody, welcome back to I Know a Guy. I'm Anthony, and this is the podcast where connections thrive. Each episode, we spotlight inspiring entrepreneurs, professionals, and individuals doing amazing things. Together, we'll grow your circle, spark collaborations, and discover new opportunities. Today, we're meeting Monica. She is an applied neuroscience trained and certified life purpose coach, full-time world traveler, adventure junkie, and total foodie. Her obsession with understanding the science behind how our brain works and breaking it down into actionable steps has led to creating the Neuro-Fulfillment Formula in order to help you create a life that you love. How you doing today, Monica?
So good, Anthony. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Yeah, I was really happy to have you. I know we talked a while ago, and I was looking forward to having you on, and things kept happening. So here we are. We finally made it. So
Yeah, it's been a long time coming for sure.
yeah, no. So was excited to have you on. You're doing some cool things, and you're a world traveler. So I know last time we spoke, you were probably somewhere you aren't now. So where are you at?
Yeah, I'm finishing up my last few weeks here in Colorado. So I've actually been in Colorado for a little bit longer than I normally stay in a place. So wrapping that up and then I'll be moving on.
Do you know where you're going, or are you just throwing a dart at the board?
Yeah, this time actually we do know where we're going. So my husband and I are going to St. Louis. We're gonna go help my sister with some childcare for about 3 months while she's picking her life back up after having a child.
Gotcha. Awesome. Yeah, that's kind of good to be able to pick up and go help, and then oh, I'm not here forever, so I'll see you for a while. No, that's awesome. So normally I like to ask people, what do you do for fun in your area, or if you had somebody to come visit, where would you take them? Where would you eat? But seeing as you're traveling all over and you're a foodie, if out of all the places that you've been, if you could take somebody to go tour someplace, where are you going, and then what food in that area you're taking them out for?
Oh man, that's such a good question. Instantly, like four or five places just flashed through my mind. I would have to probably say Thailand, though, would be the place where I'm like, this is like the most magical place I've ever been. You have to experience it for yourself. And the food there, everything I put in my mouth was phenomenal. It was the only place that I've genuinely been really sad to finish dinner because I knew I'd have to wait a whole day before I could eat again, like all through the night. It was so good. If there was one dish, though, that I was like, you have to try this, it would be khao soi, which is a northern Thai dish. And it's kind of like a coconut curry with noodles. And then they have like crispy noodles on the top. And it's so good.
Awesome. Anything in the States that's kind of resembling it? Because you can get Thai food here, but I mean, does it even hold a candle to it, or
No.
no?
And to be honest, I haven't really had that much Thai food here since going to Thailand, just because it just isn't even close. I've gotten some pretty good pad Thai here, but it's just not the same.
Yeah, yeah, it's the environment and everything there. So yeah, I imagine that'd be hard to be awesome. How long ago were you in Thailand?
Ooh, I think it's been about 2 years now.
Okay, return trip in the future, or is that some on the books,
I
or
hope so. You know what? I would make that my permanent house, like my permanent home in a heartbeat. The only tricky thing is the time zone, because it's exactly opposite of Eastern time. And so if I'm doing calls or podcast interviews and things like that, it'd be a lot of really late nights and early mornings. And I really like to sleep. So.
yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, you'd be a night owl. So I
Yeah.
got you. Awesome. So what can you tell us about what you do?
As far as coaching goes, I work a lot with clients who are looking at making big changes in their lives, or a lot of clients who are like, "Man, I feel like I'm really successful, but I also am kind of bored, or I kind of feel like there's more for me here, and I want to start to untangle that to find more purpose and fulfillment in life. I want to live a happier life." And so I work with a lot of women who, especially women who are working on uncovering who they are underneath all the roles they've been playing, motherhood or being a spouse or being a teacher or whatever their profession is, and uncovering who they are as a person underneath all of that, and then helping them craft a life that supports that.
How'd you get started doing this? Is this something you've always wanted to do, or was it just kind of surprise? This is what you're doing now, or
Not at all, actually. It's definitely something that found me rather than me finding it. I started out actually in marketing, and I worked in social media for a long time, and I started my own business so that I could travel specifically. And then as I was doing that, about like a year and a half into that, people were like, "Wow, you didn't fail. Like you didn't fall on your face like we kind of thought you would. Will you help me do the same thing?" And so I helped several friends and family find businesses that they love and that they were passionate about and start to launch their businesses and kind of teach them the strategies behind marketing their businesses and things like that. And in that process, I learned that behind every successful business is somebody who really worked on their mindset and somebody who really understands how their brain works and how to capitalize on that. And so I got really fascinated with that and helping my friends and family launch these businesses. I was like noticing that there was a lot of imposter syndrome and things like that that they had to overcome across the board. So I went and I got life purpose coaching certified. And then beyond that, I was just so fascinated by what is actually happening in our brains. So I went back and I got applied neuroscience coaching certified so that I can continue to support my clients. And I just fell so in love with the whole process that that is what I do full time now.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love the story where it's like everybody thought I was going to fail and then I didn't. But you have a new twist on it. It's like everybody came back to you and said, okay, I also want to do it because they didn't kind of realize that it was possible. There's always somebody else doing it. And then they see you and I don't know, it's a little insulting, but like if she can do it,
Yeah.
but being humble enough to say, yeah, I know you doubted me, but yeah, let me help you too. That's awesome. I don't hear about that too much. So that's really, really cool that's your story. Um, Okay, cool. So the neuroscience part was an after the fact thing. So what did you
Mhm.
kind of learn when you started diving into, how that part's integrating with what you've been doing?
So much. I mean, our brain, like everything in our personality, our brains, our potential, like it's all like right up here in our heads, right? And so the more we can understand what our brain is doing, the more we can like move the needle forward. Then we can use that to support ourselves moving forward. The question I get asked the most is, what is the most like fascinating thing you've learned through your applied neuroscience program? And I would have to say it's that we can absolutely alter our reality by training what is called the reticular activation system, the RAS in our brain, which is essentially the filter between the subconscious and the conscious part of our brain. So if we work on training that part of our brain, we can actually see the world in such a different way. So essentially, like one of the easiest ways to do that is just by starting to point out things to yourself to help you know that this is important, to help train your brain that it's important. So a really good example is from the time you were little, you were taught that your name, a specific sound, a specific set of syllables is important. And so even when you're in a crowded room, if someone says your name, you instantly tune into it because your brain, your RAS has filtered that as important. So this is where like gratitude journals come in. Like if you work on finding things that you're grateful for, finding things that bring you joy in your day, you are making sure that your reticular activation system knows that that is important and it's going to start filtering the things that bring you joy into your conscious instead of keeping it into your subconscious. And you can absolutely shift your entire reality just by knowing that one thing and working on training that one part of your brain.
That's awesome. Obviously you're passionate about it. What do you think, what is it that you really enjoy the most about it? What do you love about what you're doing?
I love watching really small and simple things click for people and make huge changes in their lives. I love seeing people come to me and they're like, I think this is what I want to do. And they leave with so much confidence and they feel so good about themselves. One of my clients came to me and like through several months of coaching, at the end of that, she said, hey, you know what? It's been years since I felt this good about myself, since I've been happy in my life. And we both just like bawled on that session. Like it was so powerful for her to be like, I've been miserable. All of my kids left home. I dedicated myself to be a stay-at-home mom. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know how to love myself, how to set goals, how to start working towards something that felt good in my life again. And I didn't even realize how unhappy I was until I started feeling that joy again, until I started feeling that happiness again. And that is the moment I love the most is things like that, those aha moments in my clients.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can really imagine that. Definitely. So you've been doing this for a while. You've had some hard won lessons and you've worked with a lot of people that are entrepreneurs that are going through similar battles. What's some advice that you would go back and give yourself starting out as an entrepreneur or that you would give to somebody else that's planning on starting in the near future?
Definitely to understand your why. When I first started, I had a really weak why, and it was just that I wanted to travel, which is great in and of itself. But when you have a weak why and you have these hardships and you have these things come up that you weren't planning on and that you have to overcome, you have to fight the imposter syndrome, you have to like try to constantly be leveling up. There's tons of dips in the road. When you have a weak why, it's not going to carry through. It's not going to pull you through those moments. And so really like being that obnoxious 5-year-old and being like, okay, well, why do I want this? Okay, but why? But why? But why? And like constantly be digging at that until you hit a really core value of yours. And that way, whenever you have challenges, you can reflect back on, okay, I am doing it for this reason. And this reason is enough to get through this hard time.
I like that. Yeah, a lot of people they go in and they might really enjoy what they're doing, and it takes them a long time to find out why they enjoy what they're doing. And by understanding that, they might be able to trim it a little bit, saying, okay, if this is what I'm really enjoying about this, I don't need this bit, and they can get really good and really focused on that one little bit. So that's awesome. What does like your average client look like, an average avatar? What are some pain points that somebody might be going through that if they're dealing with XYZ, you're the person that they should be talking to?
Yeah, so I mostly work with women. I'm open to working with whoever. It's just kind of worked out that I work mostly with women, probably 30s to 50s, normally in some kind of big life transition, going through a divorce, going like becoming an empty nester, starting a new career, things like that, where people are all of a sudden like, oh my gosh, like I don't know what to do anymore. I work with a lot of people who have climbed the ladder, who've done all the things that they're supposed to do. They went to school, they got the degrees, they got the job, they climbed the ladder, worked for the promotions, and then they get to the top and they're like, but I'm just not happy. This just can't be it. And then I work with a lot of people who say something along the lines of just, I'm just vaguely unhappy. I'm just kind of bored. I just don't have the sense of joy and wonder that I used to have, and I want that back. People who just feel like they've lost themselves in the roles that they play, or in the titles that they have, or in the relationships that they have. And so helping people find themselves again is a big part of what I do.
What about power partners? Who do you synergize well with? Where do you find a lot of collaborative potential with other industries or other professions?
Yeah, I love working with other coaches. I just did a collaboration with a health coach, which was fabulous. It was so interesting and it was so valuable across both of our audiences. So people who are also coaching, but also maybe just in slightly different industries, know different things than I do. I obviously specialize in life purpose and neuroscience, so I love working with people who specialize in health or who specialize in um like somatic healing and things like that.
Okay. How can understanding neuroscience help create a more fulfilling life?
Understanding how your brain works is so important to understanding yourself because so much of who you are, in fact, all of who you are is in your brain. And so when you understand where your emotions are coming from, when you understand where your motivation comes from, when you understand why certain things feel good to you and versus other things that don't feel as good and how to understand and take care of your brain, you are given the key to unlocking a fulfilling life.
Okay. So what is the neuro-fulfillment formula and how does it help people achieve their life purpose?
Yeah, so the neuro-fulfillment formula is something that came about when I was reflecting back on my couple years of coaching now and what all of my clients have gone through. And I really wanted to break it down and make it so easy for people to understand how they can live a fulfilling life and how they can use their brains to help create a fulfilling life. So it's a three-step process and it's not something that's necessarily linear. In fact, step two is probably the one that you'll come back to over and over and over again. But it goes something like this. So the first step is just to rediscover and to clarify your vision. In order to go somewhere, you first have to know where you want to go. If you're just like getting in the car and like turning it on, you're not going to go anywhere if you don't have a destination in mind. So you have to know where you're wanting to go. And that is so powerful to really just have a strong vision of who you want to be and what you want to be doing in your life. And then step two, after you have that vision, is to cultivate an unshakable belief in yourself. Like I said, this is one that everyone comes back to over and over and over again because it's a lot easier for me to sit here and tell you that that's step two than it is to actually create that belief in yourself. But it's really about uncovering your limiting beliefs and uncovering the stories that you've been telling yourself that are holding you back and rewriting them and making you believe in yourself for maybe the first time in your entire life. And then the third one is just to create a realistic and an empowering plan, something that you can actually stick to, something that feels good and feels easy for you and works with your brain instead of like just throwing this big goal out there. You know, a lot of people in the new year say things like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym 7 days a week, even though I haven't been to the gym in 2 years. And that's not going to work for you because that's too big of an identity shift. So we're going to break it into goals that help you work with your own brain, with your dopamine cycle, and make it so easy to accomplish and so much more fun to accomplish.
What are the biggest mindset shifts that people can do to, you know, let me rephrase that. What's the biggest mindset shift that's needed to design a life you truly love?
Everybody has slightly different blocks for themselves. If there was kind of one broad one that I could paint for everyone, it would just be to believe that you were designed for more, that you have more potential in you. There's so many people I talk to who have been settling for so much less because they don't believe they're young enough or they're old enough or they're smart enough or they have, you know, whatever skills that they need. But if you have that desire, if it's something that keeps coming back to you, there's a reason for that. And you absolutely have the ability to make it happen. And it can happen for you and it can be easy for you. And there's so many different ways that that looks like. Each person kind of has their own flavor of that unsurety. And so, like, being able to really understand what you need to help you believe in yourself is a big first step.
Okay. We can go down a rabbit hole on any of these subjects, but just high level, is there anything that I missed that you wanted to add?
Mm, nothing's coming to mind, honestly.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, and like I said, I know we could really dig into this, and I imagine there's a lot of people out there that would like to, that are basically screaming at me to ask this, you know. So for
Mhm.
those people, how can they find you? How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, I'm pretty easy to find. So, Coaching by Monica on social media. That's my website, coachingbymonica.com. If people want to nerd out with me about the brain, I also have a podcast that's Notes from a Neuro Nerd, the science behind living your best life. That is one of my favorite places to create content, to connect with people. So, there's that as well.
Awesome. Well, if anybody would like to get in touch with Monica, absolutely do it. You're going to walk away knowing more about yourself than you do going in. You're going to understand a little bit more about how your brain works and understanding your why and all of that. It's all super important. A lot of us kind of put it on the back burner, not thinking that it's going to make a big impact in our lives when really it's kind of the opposite. So have that conversation, reach out, learn some more. I'm going to put all that in the description so people don't have to hunt for it, make it really easy. If anybody would like to get in touch with me as well, you can find me at ikag.me. You can find more episodes, subscribe to our newsletter, meet more awesome people like Monica in our growing community. If you or anybody you know would like to be interviewed, you can also apply on the website. But Monica, I really appreciate you taking the time. I really love what you're out there doing. You're helping people in a unique way. You're able to partner with people, and it's just awesome to see. So let's all go out, have an awesome day, and grow our circles. All right,
Great. Thank you so much, Anthony.
my pleasure.